Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. I thought it would be fun this time to show quilts that have been made by people that I know who are excellent quilters. And so I've enlisted the help of several of my friends to help me with this video. First up, I'll be showing 9 quilts that my friend Susan made. This first one she made as a result of some impulse buying of fabric when she went to the fabric store. She made it up because she loved the fabric, and then she ended up gifting it to somebody who had a baby. When she bound the quilt, she tried a different way to stitch it down. And so she did this running stitch instead of a blind or invisible stitch. And I must say that I really love it. Next, we have this colorful quilt, and it just reminds me of a stained glass window. I just think it's so beautiful. She ended up making 2 of these, as after the first one, a friend really loved it and asked her to make her one just like it. This wall hanging, she said, was the first quilting project that she ever made. It was a swap-a-block type situation where 9 ladies each made 9 of the same flag blocks. Then they were able to make a wall hanging out of the 9 blocks. Susan's is the middle block. This next quilt was a quilt that she made for a granddaughter. It's kind of got wonky log cabin blocks in it and 3D flower appliques. Side note is that all of the fabrics used, at least in the quilt part and not the flowers, are all fabrics that have polka dots on them. This next quilt she made for her daughter. It is about the size of a double-size bed. She says it wasn't quite queen-sized. This quilt is a chandelier pattern that she made for a granddaughter. Her granddaughter requested the hearts at the top, so she put those on. She used a double bat so that the stitching would show up more, and she did all of the quilting on her sewing machine. This quilt was also done for a granddaughter. It has a minky backing, and it was also machine stitched on her sewing machine. With this quilt, she started out first by making the boot blocks, and she didn't know what she was going to do with them, but she just liked making them. Then she had a niece that was getting married that is a cowgirl, and so she decided to make the Lone Star to go in the middle and be flanked all around with the boots. So that became a wedding present. Next is this cute little baby quilt with the fox on it. I cropped out part of it because there was a baby laying on it, but it is sure a cute little quilt. My niece, Megan, makes rag quilts. The next 3 quilts are baby quilts that she made for friends and family. They are all approximately 36 by 40 inches. I love this hot pink and teal one that she did with the chevron detail on the back. Then there is this gray, black, and white one with a striped detail on the back. And this light blue, navy, gray, and mustard quilt that also has a striped detail on the back. She made this Peppa Pig quilt with a matching pillow, and instead of using squares, used strips of fabric and batting and backing. It measures 40 inches by 50-ish inches. Here is one quilt in the beginning stages where she has made the squares of backing, batting, and the top fabric, and they are 5.5 inches square. And she has sewn X's through them. Next, she sews them together using a 1/2-inch seam allowance. And then when she has sewn them all together, she snips the edges and then she washes and dries the quilt to get it to look roughly and raggy. Megan's maternal aunt, Jannie, made these next 6 quilts. These first 2 are just back from the long armors, and so they don't have the binding put on yet. This pattern is called Twister. This one is a design that she just came up with on her own. This is a rag quilt that she made for her significant other's mother. And when his mother passed away, the quilt was given back to her. I just love the little label or sentimental message that she embroidered in the lower right corner. This is the lap quilt that she made for her sister when she retired. I don't know the name of the pattern, but I'm going to call it a wonky square in a square. She made this quilt for her sister as a Christmas gift. This is a table runner that Janny made using gray, orange or peach, teal, and gold colored fabrics. It's done in a disappearing 9-patch pattern. The next 7 quilts a friend of mine did. This is a picture of the quilt she made before it was sent off to the quilters. And here it is after, with the beautiful swirls of quilting. This quilt design is called Ocean Waves. She's used many different shades of blue for the half square triangles, with some beige in there as well. We don't know the name to the pattern of this one, but notice how she used all plaid or checked fabrics except for the background fabric. It's made from 9-patch blocks put on point in an X pattern. And I just love the rustic look to this one. This quilt is called the clamshell pattern, and it's from a pattern taken from a quilt on display at the Albert Victoria Museum in London. She made this blue and lavender quilt for a granddaughter out of this beautiful cave facet material, and also this one in red and magenta tones as a get well quilt for a friend. And I just love how both of them are so bright and vibrant, and they're done in a subway tile pattern or brick pattern. This one just reminds me of looking up into the sky and seeing stars at night. The star is a sawtooth star, but it looks different because it's all done in one color instead of how it's traditionally made in different fabrics and colors. I love the swirls and stars in the stitching. And this one is such a cute pixelated heart pattern. It also has some small 9-patch blocks in it, which I think add a different dimension to it. And the fabric patterns are just so cute. Some have lips on them and others have a heart design on them. The next 3 quilts were made by my friend Lacey. I just love this one as it looks like a little village. It comes from a pattern called Be My Neighbor. It measures 64 inches by 78 inches and is made entirely of the grunge line of fabrics, which I believe is by Moda. Everything is pieced together except for the birds, which were appliqued by using the blanket stitch on a sewing machine. She had it machine quilted by someone else. She found the pattern for the triangle quilt on Pinterest and decided to pull out all of her scraps and make a scrapbuster type quilt from using this pattern. It measures 55 inches by 58 inches, and she had somebody else do the machine quilting on it. She uses it as a throw in her home. I love the magenta with white polka dot backing with the lime green binding. It all just works so well together. This circle quilt was made out of solid fabrics that she had on hand, and she used the Crazy Curve 7-inch ruler to make the circles. It measures 47 inches by 59 inches, and she quilted it on her sewing machine using a straight stitch in a plaid pattern. She uses it as decoration in her home, as a throw over the back of a couch. It's so bright and happy and modern. Thank you for joining me in this trunk show with just some of the quilts that my very talented and skillful friends have made. I'm so happy that they shared them with me so that I could share them with you. Thanks for watching and happy quilting. Goodbye.